A lot of recorders. All right, fire away, guys.
What do you see from Michigan State's defense?
They're really good. I think they're a top 30 defense in the country as far against the run. They do a really good job of eliminating big plays, sound, tackle well. It's going to be a big challenge.
On the O-line, is that a competition throughout the league to sort of settle where, like a left guard, or where you can have with that?
Yeah. Whoever practices the best. And I mean, we'll play probably at least 2 left guards, but at the end of the day, the guy is going to, and not just at that position, but at every position, whoever practices the best.
When you watch, I know you're moving ahead, but taking what you saw Saturday and moving it ahead, what did you see from that game? What did you like? What are the things, general takeaways of what you liked
from the Oklahoma game? Yeah, I mean, the positives were, it was a good football team. Our guys played hard. And they kept battling. We knew it was going to be a 4-quarter game, and we had a chance to win it at the end on the last drive. The negatives that really jump out, the penalties. It's tough to overcome penalties, and we got to keep working on to clean that up. I think each position has specific details where we can always get a little bit better, and that's going to be the same after a win or a loss. But we got to clean up. We did a good job not turning the ball over, but we got to score in the red zone. That was another thing in the red zone as far as finishing drives. We got to be better at that. It shouldn't have came down to 3 field goals. We should have been able to punch some of those in.
Xavier and Omar's reps have obviously increased. Are any of the points now where you trust them about everything, or where?
Yeah. No, those guys done a good job. They know the whole game plan. We trust them, and we still feel we have, even though Oliver hasn't played, and we're hoping we get him back this week, but we feel like we have pretty good depth, and we feel like we can rotate a lot of guys at that position, which keeps guys fresh, lets other guys play well. And some of the reason those guys made plays is because they're fresh when their number came up, and so we want to continue to do that. And I like the way those 2 guys in particular are progressing.
Do you have any insight of how Tucker's got that defense playing together in his second year? Does it lack complexity on that? How would you say?
Well, you hit on a great point. I mean, he's got those guys playing at a high level. They're one of the better defenses in the country. And I know they've had some guys transfer in. They're talented players, so I think they've done a great job as coaches. The system that they have, getting guys to understand it, keeping it simple so they can play fast. But it's sophisticated enough where they can cause you problems. And but they're guys, like the big thing on a defense, if you don't give up big plays, you're doing the right thing. And I think they're one of the tops in the country of giving up, explosive plays. So a big tribute to their defensive staff. I know their head coach has had a lot of great experience and success on the defensive side of the ball, and they've also got those guys. Probably the most important thing on defense is they tackle well, and they play hard, and they run to the football, and they're physically tough. So not only have they recruited tough physical players, they've installed that attitude and edge in practice, and it's kind of a cultural deal that you see on tape.
Omar mentioned yesterday, he was talking to us about his battle with mental health last year, and he mentioned you as someone who had helped him. When you see him as someone who's fought through everything, he's fought through getting the end zone on Saturday, what's that like for you to see?
That's awesome. He's worked really hard. Last year was a tough year on everybody for a whole bunch of reasons. To see him battle back from that physically and mentally as a coach, that makes you feel really good and really proud. And to see his confidence and to see the excitement, when he starts having some success. And we kind of knew once he started having success that he'd be a lot more confident. Very proud of him. And I think he's going to keep getting better and better.
Maybe 20 years ago, we didn't know as much about neuroscience, mental health. That's a situation that was a lot more challenging for schools. How do you think that the conversation around that topic, mental health, has evolved in the football world?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time. We have sports psychologists that does a great job of kind of keeping a pulse on our guys, and then us as assistant coaches, because we're not in their heads every single day. And a lot of guys can really hide it, especially with the climate, with COVID, and then guys coming into a new atmosphere, freshmen, and everything being foreign to them. You can't take for granted that guys are just adjusting socially and mentally well. You have to really take the time to get to know them, take the time to keep a pulse on how they're feeling, And at the end of the day, just be really sensitive to it. And let our guys understand, too, that there's nothing wrong with having a problem or having a bad day, and mental health is, a lot of people have it. And we're here to help. And sometimes if you can break down the barrier where the guys feel comfortable about telling you about how they're feeling, their problems, then you've got the culture you need where you can actually help some guys. And I think Coach Frost does a good job of that, create an atmosphere where I think players feel comfortable. If something's bugging them, where they can come in and talk about it. And I know as coaches, that's what we're here to do, is to help guys.
What goes into creating that atmosphere?
I think a lot of one-on-one relationships, that's the biggest thing, I think, to develop that trust and comfort level is, as a coach, you got to have a one-on-one relationship with your player. So they feel it's not just about football, that hey, we're here to help you grow as a football player, but also as a person. And so that just takes time. And it takes a lot of just one-on-one conversations, and then doing things outside the football world, where you get to know guys and what their motivations are, what our motivations are, and I think when the better you communicate and the better you develop those relationships, the easier it is for them to trust you.
I know we kind of wanted that running back. Are you discouraged that hasn't happened, or how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, well, we knew we were going to have an injury at running back, and that's just the nature of the position. Guys get nicked up at that position. So, we feel like we got 4 guys that can play, and each week in practice, we can kind of say who's practicing the best, and it's really that simple. The guy that practices the best is going to play the most, and then when a guy gets in a game, and if he gets on a roll and starts running the ball really hard, and he has the hot hand, then he'll take most of the carries. Yeah. He came to work every day. He has a lot of experience here, so he probably knew the system better than everybody. And a tribute to his character, not being the one, especially starting off and not getting a lot of plays. I think in the first 2 games, he never stopped preparing the way he's prepared, and which is a big tribute to him. When things aren't going well, you're not playing as much as you think you should, you have 2 choices. You either hey, it doesn't matter what I do, I'm not going to play, or you work harder. He worked harder. And always kept himself in the mix. And then when he got an opportunity, he made the most of it and did some really good things against Oklahoma on Saturday. Just a daily work ethic of bringing his best every day. No one's perfect, but he brought his best every day and competed. His skill set, we feel like he can run between the tackles. He's good on the perimeter. He knows all the pass protections. Does a really good job. And I've been happy with our backs in pass protecting, which fans don't usually see that. They see him carrying the ball. He does a really good job of that. He's not afraid to take on a linebacker. So just working on all aspects of his game.
When you look back on film and just the penalties, the struggles with penalties on the offensive side, has there been a common thread that you've been able to identify? How do you work to kind of smooth those out other than just saying don't?
Yeah. We talk about it every day. We have officials out there all the time, too. If a guy does or has a penalty happen in practice, we address it right at that moment. We get a sub in and we address it to make sure they understand there's consequences about that. So it's something that we're going to continue to address and keep addressing, and it needs to be better. In this last game we had too many false starts, and you just can't do that. We change up cadence, we do different things. We actually have our scout team defense try to draw us offsides. We try to make it harder in practice than it is in a game, to build on that. But to answer your question, we address it, but we still need to be a lot better at it.
False starts, is that just 100% focus, mental, or is there more to it?
It is focus and mental. There's no question. Sometimes defenses can make it challenging on you when they're yelling and screaming and moving before the snap, and we practice all that. But at the end of the day, a pre-snap penalty is focus and discipline.
And now you finally got Travis back at tight end. As a pipeline standpoint, what's the benefits of 12 versus 1 having 2 tight ends?
Sure, yeah. Both him and Austin and Chris Hickman's played really well. But when you have a guy like Travis that comes back, he just gives you so much more in the run game and pass game. He blocks like an offensive tackle. But he has the ability to split out wide and run routes like a receiver because he has great speed and great ball skills. So it just lets you do so many more things when you have that when you have him in your game plan. You know, and it frees up. We can do more things with 2 tight ends and even some 3 tight end sets because, you know, Austin's one of our better players, and Chris Hickman. And Chancellor Brewington has been a great surprise. So we've got 4 guys that we can kind of mix match and put guys in there. But to answer your question in particular, Travis brings a level of physicality that is different, and it showed up in the game against Oklahoma.
Adrian said that with Travis in the fold, you guys can dig into some run plays that maybe you can't without him. What are some of those things that you guys can do with Travis?
Well, we feel like we can do all the run plays with our tight ends, but the biggest thing what Travis does is he's a 260-pound guy that's really physical. So he's a little bigger than all the other guys, and he's very good at point of attack. And the same thing, like the previous question, is we can put him out in space, so he's not just one-dimensional. So just again, the physicality and being able to run downhill at him is a big deal in our offense. Thanks, guys.